Welcome to In This Season podcast, where we unpack the most empowering conversations, have exclusive and inspirational interviews, and host special events. Join Tammy, some call her Butterfly, and explore life's purpose by learning how to embrace each season of your life with confidence, strength, and purpose. Whether you're blooming in the spring, or shining in the summer, or embracing change in the fall, or gracefully hibernating in the winter, get ready to be inspired. Join us right here on this season of In This Season podcast with your host, the Butterfly. It's time, no matter what season it is. Welcome to In This Season podcast, where we unpack the most empowering.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brandon.
What you laughing at? Are you sick?
I
Oh, I'm getting it too.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, like my throat. I was coughing a little bit last night, but it's all good.
I started to just let you do it, but I couldn't remember if you had it. I think we did set you up where you could go in and do it by yourself, but I couldn't remember.
Hey, you feeding the ducks? Hold on, where you at? I got to keep you motivated today.
Nah, the ducks gonna feed me today. Y'all see, I don't even care. I'm coming in. I told y'all it's gonna be them days. This is today. Where I just couldn't. I just said it's like I'm about to do it like this because
hey, you look good to me. You look good to me. Well, welcome everybody, and we can get you in and out of here in short order. I'm sure our patrons and supporters will be okay with that. But how are y'all this morning? Let us know in the comments. How's your morning going so far? You got a little scratchy throat too? Because I know I definitely do. I'm fighting it. Make sure that you stay hydrated, Mom, and everybody else out there too. It's easy to get sick when you're not drinking water, and not just water, but your electrolytes, your sodium, your potassium. Make sure that you're getting your electrolytes, okay? But welcome everybody. What day is this, Mom? 235,
I think.
235.
235, I believe.
Wow. Well, if you guys are new here or haven't been here before, or if you've been with us a long time, we are going through the book Daily Motivations for African American Success.
Did I say 235?
You did. I thought it was like 240 something or 250
It's
something.
245. 245.
Okay.
I went way back. 245.
Well, y'all, this show every morning at 7 a.m. Central Time, we read through the book Daily Motivations for African American Success by Dennis Kimbro. We read the title of a passage for the day, a quote from a distinguished African American, the passage, and then an affirmation to get you about your way, help you start your morning off right. We got anybody in the comments, Mo? Yep, we got
Yeah, we have Brenda says, Auntie Richetta says, good morning, Butterfly and everyone and nephew. Miss Brenda says,
Auntie.
great everyone, happy hump day. And Big Mike says, good morning, I'm running this morning.
Good, good. I got to catch up with you too, man. But yeah, y'all, thank y'all for joining us. A little bit more about the book, if you don't know it already, as our people that are commenting, y'all have heard this a million times, but it doesn't hurt to hear it again. Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. And 365 short motivations, one for each day of the year. Dennis Kimbro, who's the author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. I haven't read that yet, but I think I'm gonna get it. Leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and how to look inward for answers to life's challenges. So each one of these motivations begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year, and what it teaches will last you a lifetime. But y'all, let us know how yesterday went for you. If you remember the affirmation, if it helped you in any kind of way, and what your experience was on yesterday. Did you orient your goals um, to the heart work, right? Are you doing heart work or hard work or both, right? So let us know in the comments how yesterday went for you, if it did anything for you as we move on to today's selection. Anything from you, Mom, before I jump into it?
Nope.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. We're going to try to get you to not use your voice too much. I still have mine for today, but we'll see because I was coughing up a little something last night.
Yeah, I don't. It's not my throat. It's headache and just the runny nose and all of that. A little bit of things going on, but I don't have a sore throat. So, and not a whole lot of coughing, just a really bad headache.
Okay. Well, if you
Yep.
need anything, let me know and I'll bring you something. But let's jump in today for October the 2nd. October the 2nd. It seems to be kind of a short one today. The title is Race Issues. Again, race issues. And our quote comes from Wilma Rudolph, the Olympic champion. I've noticed that this book has a lot of Olympic champions. And I think the day before yesterday, we had Anita DeFrance, who's the Olympic champion and member of the Olympic Committee. And today we have Wilma Rudolph, an Olympic champion. And she said, I'm in my prime. There's no goal too far, no mountain too high. I'm in my prime. There's no goal too far and no mountain too high. It's hard to win a race if you start off 50 feet behind. It's hard to win a race if you start off 50 feet behind. Yet that's just the handicap that we face in our quest for success. Because of racism and discrimination, just getting to the starting line is an exhausting effort for us. It doesn't seem fair, and it isn't. But the fact is that we can only take off from where we are. We who have heard, you can't win or you'll lose, so there's no sense trying, all our lives have to shake off those muddy messages before we can run free. All the resentment and self-pity in the world, understandable though it may be, won't turn what is into what ought to be. I'll say that again. All the resentment and self-pity in the world, as understandable as it may be, won't turn what is into what ought to be. The mud is there. Until we commit ourselves to cleaning our shoes, doing our best, and concentrating on the race at hand, our running shoes will be heavy. So what if others are better prepared? Or so what if others are better prepared than we are? So who cares if others have better trained coaches? It doesn't matter. All that happened yesterday, not today. All that happened yesterday, not today. And today's race is the race that counts. Those of us who start out with handicaps, who begin several feet behind, need to give ourselves credit for running the race at all. We need to stop resenting where we are and start loving ourselves for the daily courage it takes to suit up and show up. We deserve to win, and we can win if we stop looking backward. And the affirmation today is what's been done is done. Today, I will press on to my goal. Again, what's been done is done. And today, I will press on to my goal. Mom, do you have anything to add, or do you want to add anything? I know you're not feeling
well. Well, sometimes I do, and I'll be quick with it and maybe add something another day. But sometimes, and y'all don't take this the wrong way, I feel like we spend so much time focusing on what was done to us And for some of us, indirectly, because, and I say that because most of us that are here listening to this, certainly not all of us, because we have Miss Erlene, who I remember, my spiritual mom, Brandon's grandma. I remember having the conversation with her and just hearing her share with me about a time where she couldn't, she was on the bus, of course, and had to go to the back. And I knew it, like I knew she came from that time, but I remember hearing her say it and I just got so angry. Like I wanted to go back in time so that I could be the one and said, we're not, we're not moving. We're not moving, right? But I look at her and how much she is our Mrs. Frederick Douglass, right? She is Mr. Johnson's child who would not allow her, who came from even worse, who experienced even worse, but still he owned houses. He cleaned his shoes, y'all, and he worked his butt off. I don't even want to say that word so he worked. He didn't look back. He didn't focus on slavery or what someone told him he would do. So I look at the success they have. Miss Earlene's been retired 20 plus years, right? She cleaned her shoes. She put her faith in God and she moved on. Look at my grandfather, who in my time owned rental property, started his own business from a need. I don't think I've ever known my granddad to work for someone, right? We had a store, Mr. Gator's corner store, right? With enough wits about him to understand that his granddaughter was going to have to be down there late at night with him. So he built a bed for her under the counter. So I would do all I had to do, homework, and then it was time for me to go to bed at the store, right? So when you tell me you can't, or you don't have that you started 50 feet behind and you can't catch up and da 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 da, play the violin for someone else, because I'll tell you and show you somebody who had it worse, who actually went through it, saw the hangings, experienced, you got to move. You can't sit here, or just didn't sit there because they knew they couldn't, right? Who was not seen as human, but they still focused and knew that God created them just like he created the person who was trying to put them in the mindset that they can't, right? That they're defeated, right? That they put fear in them. It's a choice what you let someone do or not do mentally for you. So yeah, we have race issues. We still have them to this day. And then I'll turn it over to you, Brandon. I look at my soul sister. She's the person. She's the person that I mentioned to you guys that when I was going through one of my hardest times, and she is not of my color. She's a white Caucasian woman who moved back here to try to make some things right that she felt her parents and those before her played a part in. Like she wanted to come back here and work with young African American children to empower them, right? So the race issues exist, but I'll tell you, not every person that's not your color is out to get you. But not every person that is your color is for you, right? So you need to clean your own shoes and run your race. As yesterday said, find your key, use it, clean your shoes, and run your race. Over to you, Brandon.
Thanks, Mom. I appreciate it. A lot of that resonated with me in knowing those people. My late great grandfather, and then my grandma Earlene, and my late great grandfather on her side as well. looking at, my great grandparents, they had their businesses, and seeing what they did. They did so much with what seemed to be so little chances, you know, and I'm not sure if we're as resilient as them as a generation. I think we're comforted sometimes by, and not that we don't have the potential to be, but I think we are too comfortable with a lot of things. I hear people saying that they're poor, I don't have this or I don't have that, and I kid you not, it's very relative, because when I've gone to other countries and I've seen people with less say that I'm rich. What do you mean? I'm everything's great. You know, we built our house with our hands. Yeah, it might be made out of 2 liter bottle. The foundation may be made out of 2 liter bottles that we had to fill up with sand and compact together. Or my roof and my walls might be made of tin and these wood boards, but it was a home, right? They grew their own food, you know. And how spoiled are we? We can think about it, guys. We can get any type of food. I can get Chinese food right now. I'm not in China. I can get, fruit that's out of season right now. It doesn't grow within 200, 300, 400 miles from me. And I can get it fresh off the vine, right? I can open up my phone and I have access to more information than the kings did 100 years ago, right? I have more comfort. I have air conditioning, and, we are very blessed, very blessed. And so to say that we can't do something is defeatist. To say that, and I'm not saying it's fair. Life isn't fair. There are those that have been, we think that they've been blessed, but they've also been tested with what they've been blessed with. So sometimes that test isn't good for us. Our test might be relative poverty. Our test might be wealth. There are some people that are tested with wealth. As much as we may think that they're blessed with wealth, they are tested with wealth, right? So our values, what's our value? And our starting point, like if you judge from how far you've come, as opposed to where you are compared to other people, I think we'll be a lot happier. I think people in general will be a lot happier to say, I started from here. I started 50 feet behind, from the starting line. But I won the race. I finished the race, right? Have you ever seen people who had some type of impediment, who had some type of limp? I remember being a wrestler in high school, and my first wrestling match was with a blind young man. He couldn't see. And in order to wrestle me, we had to start by touching each other's hands. I had to touch him at all times. Excuse me.
Wow.
And I remember thinking to myself, feeling bad for him, oh man, like, what? I got such an easy match that he can't see, and I have to keep hands on his hand. He keep contact with him, and let me tell y'all, that was one of the hardest matches I had. It was my very first match, and so all that to say, he surprised me. I was like, oh my goodness! I mean, I won the match, but he was strong. It's as if he could see where I was moving. It's as if he could feel and was intuitive about my next move. He didn't let the fact that he didn't have the ability to see stop him from practicing. I'm sure every day. He didn't let it stop him even from joining the team. He didn't let it stop him from competing. So people with less have done more. So when you complain, remember that people that have less than you are doing more than you. And it should compel you. It should light a fire under you. It should encourage you and motivate you to know that you too can overcome challenges, can overcome whatever you think is a mountain in front of you. Most of that, the height of that mountain is your own perception. And it might just be a speed bump or a foothill at best. Right? So looking at this, there was one thing that stuck out to me. It said all the resentment and self-pity in the world, as understandable though it may be, won't turn what is into what ought to be. The mud is there. And until we commit ourselves to cleaning our shoes, doing our best, and concentrating on the race at hand, our running shoes will be heavy. What is your running shoe? Your running shoe could be, what's the mud on your running shoe? Is the mud your trauma? Is the mud your family history? Is your mud the quote unquote lack of formal or higher education? Is the mud on your shoe a divorce? Is the mud on your shoe a depression, anxiety, poverty? We all have mud, proverbial mud, on our shoe in some way. But are we working to clean it? Because we have that responsibility, right? Because it doesn't fall on anyone else's life except for ours. It could fall on the people under our care, meaning our children, our wives and husbands. And we don't want that to be a contagion. We don't want it to be contagious, right? We don't want to be the one who's always complaining. I always say, start out with gratitude. If you find something that you want to, or you're compelled to complain about, before you complain, start talking and counting the things that you're grateful for. And usually, if you count your blessings before your curses, you'll never get to your curses. Because there's just so many blessings to enumerate that by the time you think you can start on, all the challenges and all the quote unquote curses that you have, it'll be time to do something else. The blessings always outweigh the curses. The good always outweighs the bad. It's just, what are you focusing on? Is the glass half full or half empty? Are you at a loss or at a surplus? It could be the same amount inside of the glass, but the way you see it can completely change your perception and how that water tastes, right? If you're in a bad mood, you can have the best dinner in front of you. It ain't gonna taste the same. If your heart is broken, someone can love you as much as is humanly possible, but you might not be able to receive it, right? We have to clean our own shoes. We have to clean our own shoes. And I love the title, Race Issues, because it's an entendre, meaning it has a dual meaning. Race issues as far as the race of life, the race to success, our running shoes, using that as a metaphor, but it also means race issues, us looking at this social construct of race. How can we let something that was invented, a social construct, impact us and keep us back, right? Did Frederick Douglass say that? No, he didn't. And he had it worse. He became U.S. Marshal of the United States, right? From being born a slave. And there's countless people in the Black liberation, in the history of Black liberation, that we can look to and say, hey, that person had it worse and they did more. So what excuse do we have, right? We don't have one. We only have a history of overcomers, a history of people who beat the challenge before them. And by social construct of racism, the idea of being white or Black is a construct that did not exist 500, 600 years ago, right? It was literally, people did not consider themselves white or Black. They considered themselves of a specific nation, of a specific tribe, of a specific clan. They were warring in Europe based on who was French and who was British and who was Irish and who was from the Germanic tribes versus, who was Viking or whatever, or Italian, Rome. Like these were all what we would consider now white people. But to them, the difference between their people could not be further apart. But due to the construct of races of the transatlantic trade, slavery, hypercapitalism, valuing profit over people, they had to dehumanize. I won't say had to, they chose to dehumanize an entire continent of people in order to get free labor, right? And it is out of that construct that racism came to be, because truly there's only one race. Genetically, humans, all, whether you're Asian or African, whether you're white or indigenous American, we are all the same race. We are all the same race. Skin color is truly only skin deep. It's truly only skin deep. So this entire construct has been man-made. It has been constructed by man. It can also be deconstructed by man. So you have to deconstruct that in your head. We have to ourselves take off the hat of social engineering that has told us that we're starting 50 feet behind. Because then again, we are comparing ourselves to someone else. And trust, they have their own challenges, their own impediments, their own diseases of the heart. If you think for a second that that racism only hurt us, you're wrong. Think about the impact on the hearts of the children whose parents took them to public lynchings. And at a young age, they got to see a hanging black man burn that was set afire, and his limbs taken as memorabilia to be put on someone else's mantle, right? As souvenirs. Imagine what that did to their heart. Imagine how they then treated other human beings in their midst. Imagine how those young boys treated their wives, treated the people in their company, right? Their heart is perverted. Their heart has been molested as a child. No child should see that, right? Much less be grown up in this indoctrination of racism. So you think you're starting 50 feet behind, and you may be starting 50 feet ahead. It's based on what you value. Would you rather a pure heart and full pockets, or a pure heart and empty pockets, or would you rather a dark heart, a hard heart with a bank account with 7 figures, right? Who is to say that one is greater than the other, right? Or one is more challenging than the other? Only God. And since God only knows that, we don't have the right, we don't have the distinction to judge and say, God, you really gave me a bad hand. How dishonoring is that to God when you have knowledge of all the blessings that God has given you, from every blink and breath that you take to the day that you just woke up to? What an ingrate we might be to say, oh, woe is me. Oh, this is so terrible. I woke up and my lights are on. It's cloudy outside. It's I need to put air in my tire. I can't believe that this is happening, or this person said this about me. So what? Get up, get out, and do something with yourself. Be the inspiration that you need. If you have to wake up and find encouragement and you need to be motivated in order to get out here and live life, then you ain't then you're not doing it right. Right? So I'm gonna end it there, guys. You have to be self-motivated, self-encouraged, and a lot of times that starts by not being an ingrate. What is an ingrate? Somebody that is not grateful. If you're grateful, for what you have, for who you are, for the people in your life, for being alive, period, then how can you go about this day and not say, blessed is the day that the Lord has made? How can you not? Right? And so just
I will
remember.
rejoice and be glad in it. I was
What you
going to
said, you will rejoice and be glad in
say,
it?
I will rejoice and be glad in it. How often do we say that? I didn't mean to cut you off, but I
No,
just
you go
wanted
ahead. Mm-hmm.
to add those few words behind it, because this is the day He's made. But how will you perceive it? What's your mindset of it? So often we just, excuse me, we want everything our way when we don't even know the way we're going. So, Brandon, as you were talking specifically about the young man that your first fight and he was blind, and I instantly thought about one that we did, a credit to the race, because when you said you won, in a sense, you both won, right? And y'all remember the one, a credit to the race, where it talked about why people, the different reasons people were running the race. Y'all remember that one,
Yeah,
a credit
yeah,
to the race.
yeah.
So if y'all can go back and read that one. A credit to the race, and then there's another one, reverse discrimination. That quote was, "It ain't nothing to find no starting place in the world." As we talk about starting places on this one, it says it ain't nothing to find no starting place in the world. You just start from where you find yourself. And that's the problem, y'all. We don't want to start. We keep looking at someone else and they're here and they're there. And you don't even really know where they are. You're just looking at where it looks like they are. So reverse discrimination is one you should also look up. Um, a credit to the race. And then there is the difference between handicap and disabled. Disabilities can sometimes be definitions. So disabilities can sometimes be definitions. How have you defined yourself? You can think of yourself in terms of what you can't do and never realize the possibilities of what you can do. And again, that was the difference between handicap and disabilities. And so those are the ones that reminded me of what we're talking about today. And all of these, to me, you guys, sometimes when we're reading one, it reminds me of something before that
Mm-hmm.
fed me. And so you keep adding to the feeding. And that's why Black Enterprise says it's more time for contemplating. So it's interesting that you start to think about some of the previous ones that we talked about, as we grow through these things. So just go back and listen to a little bit of those. If you have the book, go back and read those days, especially the affirmations and the quotes and the passage if you have time. Watch a
Yeah,
little less TV today and go back and reread those passages. You gotta start where you are. You gotta clean your own shoes. You gotta find your own key, right? And
right.
you gotta open the door and walk through it. Sometimes I think we really get caught up and we feel good about just focusing on what it was and how we got here. Okay, you know what it was, you know how we got here. If you want to get out, how do you get out? How do you get out? Right? How do you get out? Look at I'm not feeling the best today. How do I get out? Do I keep forcing myself and keep going, going, going and not stop and do what's right for my body? And expect to get well? Or do I say, you know what? Let me settle in this and get better. And how do I
Right,
get better? How?
right.
No. So, and I have to say something too. Miss Brenda said something a few days ago about family,
Mm-hmm.
and how that has really just stuck with me through the last few days. And I had this um, vision of people who want to bring their loved ones along on this journey. And it might make sense to y'all and it may not, but I got to share it because I did get it. And Miss Brenda, imagine this. Imagine you coming, just say it's me. Say if you come up to my house and you blow the horn and say, I don't have a car. I don't have the means to get anywhere, right? And you come up in your car and you blow the horn, you come to the door, here, hey, I'll take you wherever you need to go. But I never come out. You do it over and over and over again, and I never come out to go anywhere to take you up on the offer, right? How long do you keep coming back, right? Unless God has instructed you to. And that's why we have to be tuned in, because sometimes we'll want it so bad that we'll try to make it happen. And what you're really doing is you're not going anywhere. Because if you just keep sitting out there waiting on me, then you're not going anywhere, right? And neither is the person that you keep coming to pick up. So, in a sense, people will start to hold you back. And I get it. We have so much love for our family and we want them to have this. But you can't want anything for someone or force anything for someone who don't really want it, who is not willing to clean off their shoes, find their key, start where they are. So the best thing you can do is release them, pray for them, put their car back in drive, pull off, and don't go back unless they call you, hey, come pick me up. I'm ready.
Right.
Because they will hinder you if you keep coming and sitting out there. They will hinder you. So that for me just gave me some peace, because it took me back. It took me back to that place. So I don't know. I don't know if you get it or not, but just wanted to share it. And Brandon, if we could jump off
Thanks,
here,
man.
I think I'm ready.
Okay, sounds good. I'm gonna leave with this. I want to leave us on a somewhat of a hopeful note. That last paragraph. Those of us who start out with handicaps, who begin uh, several feet behind, need to give ourselves credit for running the race head on. Give yourself credit for making it this far, and make decisions that are going to make your future self very proud. Right. So stop resenting where you are and start loving yourself for the daily courage that it takes to suit up and show up. Half the battle is showing up. Half the battle is showing up, whether you're training for MMA or you're going you're trying to graduate with that new degree. Half the battle is showing up to class, y'all. Right? So if you're doing that, then you should congratulate yourself and give yourself that credit, and be grateful for the opportunity, and be grateful for the small things. If you can be grateful for the small things, you'll notice that it won't take much to fulfill you, right? It won't take all the extra Mercedes and, as mom says, the red bottoms and all these things, because we're just comparing ourselves with a race to the bottom. That's a race to the bottom. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I got a bigger house. Ooh, I got this shoe. I got, like, that materialism. Let me tell you this. Everything that you own right now is going to be owned by someone else, or is going to be trash when you die. As much as you worked for all this, the house that you worked so hard to build, is going to be inhabited by someone else 100 years from now. Your great grandchildren they might know your name, but they might barely know you. Your great great grandchildren, you see what I'm saying? So we have to see the nature of this life, that it all fades. And as you become older, more mature, or just wiser, not even older, you'll see that the true value of life is the experiences, the love, the impact, how much you help make this world a better place, right? And how much you can really do for others, and worship your creator and be a good human being. That's the real race. Okay, so be grateful for the small things. Give yourself the credit that you deserve for waking up and going after it every single day. Right? Mike, you getting out there running this morning? How many days have you done that, brother? Miss Brenda, getting out there and becoming more healthy and retiring and being able to spend time with your grandchildren, that's incredible. You've impacted their lives positively, right? Being able to retire after all those years and work, that's an accomplishment, you know? So give yourselves the pats on the back that you deserve. Auntie Richetta, Tasha, making it from where you guys came from, where our family has come from to where you are now. Who'd have thought? So congratulate yourself, and let's make sure that we start every day on a positive note as best as we can, because we control how we feel. Other people, we allow other people to have an impact on how we feel. But our feelings are our feelings, right? We need to take responsibility and accountability for how we feel, and not for how we continue to feel, because feelings are to be digested. But if you hold on to that resentment, if you hold on to that anger, if you hold on to that trauma, if you don't work to actively heal that trauma, it will be the mud on your shoes in the race of life. Okay? So let's win the race of life by first cleaning our shoes and being grateful that we even got shoes, that we're not running out here barefoot. Okay? We're missing the blessings by not noticing the blessings that we have. We're missing our purpose by not being grateful for what we have. Okay, it's like when God sent down, manna for the children of Israel, the Hebrews, as they escaped Egypt, and they were like, "What? Give us this and give us that. Why don't you give us some meat, and why don't you give us some bird and fowl and this or whatever?" And God's like, "I basically created a whole new food for y'all and sent it down from on high for you to eat. What is more blessed than this? You're in the middle of the desert, and I have sent manna down for you. I've shown you a watering hole and told you where each tribe should drink from. And you complaining? And you want to go worship the golden calf while Moses is gone on high, who's receiving revelation to bring back to you? You'll turn away just that quick because your leader is out of your sight? You now start worshiping something that you fashioned out of your own hands to see if it can bring you some cow meat, if it can bring you some bird, if it can bring you some whatever, when God has literally created a food just for you and sent it down from heaven. That's how I feel like a lot of us are doing. Y'all, we got the juice. We got the juice. We really do. Think about it. This melanin, it don't crack. Black don't crack. It really don't. Do you know that melanin is an alkaloid that actually helps you in life? It helps your immune system. It helps your ability to reproduce. It helps your ability to repair your cells. It is really almost a magic thing to be a deeply melanated person. With the brown melanin, the red melanin, it is an alkaloid that actually affects how medicine works on you, right? Why you think all the lab rats are white? Don't get me started, y'all. Okay, why do you think when we take drugs, they affect us in a different way, right? We're quote unquote easier to become addicted to certain things, right? Because melanin is an alkaloid itself, and the way that it attaches to certain things. So we have to understand that they need these things. How they use stem cells now, that came from a Black woman and her family, because she could repair and reproduce her cells very easily. And you better believe she ain't the only one, y'all. That's what they use for stem cells to this day. And her family doesn't get any money from that. And they illegally took those cells from her. And those are the same cells that are being used everywhere, right? These regenerative cells. So you better believe that you got the juice, y'all. You got gold in your blood, in your bones. So I'm telling you, you think you're starting 50 feet behind, and you're really 50 feet ahead. Look at our women. Look at our men. I have a And this is not saying anything bad about it, but I have a great friend of mine, a young friend of mine, who's a fighter, and he's from the sticks. He's from the Boondocks country, and he'll say all the time, "Ooh, man, I wish I had a body like you black guys." He'll say it. He'd be like, "Man, we do the same work, and for some reason, y'all come out looking shredded and ripped and all this other stuff." And I'm like, "Man, it's in our bones, you know." And it's not putting him down in any way, but you better believe. You better believe we have something. And we all every quote unquote race has something special about them, you know. But don't look at what's special about someone else and let that overshadow what's special about you. And I mean that as individuals as much as I mean that as about our people. Don't let anyone convince you that you are less than, that your heritage, that your race, quote unquote, that your people, that your community is less than. We have gifted this world with so much. We are the most influential ethnic group of people in the entire world. You can go anywhere in the world and they know the names of our people. They are influenced by their music, by their style, by their fashion, by the way we talk, the way we dress, the way we move, the way we walk, the way we win gold medals on behalf of countries that have oppressed our people and won't even give us reparations. There's something about how many inventions have black people given to this nation, from the street light to the telephone to the light bulb that other people took credit for. But God knows, but we know that came from you. That came from your people, from your stock. So act like it. Wake up and be grateful for who you are, for your history, for the traditions that have produced people like you. And go out there and be great. And do the same thing for the next generation. All right. So lift up your head, hold your head high, stick your chest out, and keep it pushing.
Brandon, real quick, when you mentioned about the medication, how some medications we blacks have a different effect, or they affect us differently, reminded me, and I've shared this story of a friend of mine who called me in the middle of the night, and they had put her on some medication. She had gone to the emergency room, and of course, her daughter and I went flying over there, and we took her to the emergency room, and I'm sitting there reading her medication, and it gives all of these side effects, and then it says these increase in the African Americans, and I'm like, does your doctor know who you are? Like, why would they prescribe you something that has all of these side effects, and then it increases, right? And I just remember thinking, and I need to do some research on that, y'all. These are the things that our people perish for a lack of knowledge. Because, see, they got us so distracted, right? Meaning society has us so distracted in things that don't matter. How many of you even read the side effects? Because she hadn't read it. We just take it and go. But somebody who loves you can tell you to, you know what? Drink some apple cider, put some ginger in it, squeeze some fresh lemon in it. Try that, get some rest. You won't even try it, but you will go and take that pill. You go and take that pill from somebody who you think put you 50 feet behind. Won't even check and read it. Right?
Let me read something to you really quick. It says melanin is a biopolymer found in many tissues, and it can affect medication in several ways. Drug accumulation. Melanin can bind to drugs, causing them to accumulate and remain in pigmented tissues like the skin, the eyes, the brain. You have melanin in your brain. This can affect the distribution and elimination of drugs and can lead to adverse effects like increased toxicity. Melanin can be used to target drugs to pigmented tissues or as a vehicle for delivering drugs orally. For example, a melanin iron complex can help treat iron deficiency and anemia, which many of us have. The interactions, the compounds that bind strongly to neuromelanin, so there's melanin on your nerve cells, can cause adverse reactions in the central nervous system and contribute to Parkinson's disease. We're thinking Muhammad Ali. And melanin can protect cells initially, but it can also slowly release accumulated compounds over time, which can lead to toxicity. Meaning you can develop, your body will hold on to the drugs more. right? These synthetic drugs because of this. So they increase the drug's retention, leading to a prolonged half-life, which is how much time that drug can stay in your system. Because and melanin is an incredible thing. The more you look into melanin, the more you will discover why there is a push for Black people and melanated people to be organ donors. This is why, in my opinion, the young man, Johnson, last name Johnson, in Valdosta, Georgia, that dated the white girl and ended up being killed in some way. They said it was an accident, but his body was found rolled up in a wrestling mat. And when they opened up his body, it was newspaper inside of it. And his organs had been taken out. This is why you find these Black bodies all over, and when they're killed, or when they go to the mortician and they didn't sign up as organ donors, for some reason, when you open them up, their organs are gone. There's a Black market. And when I say Black, it's a us market, y'all. The organ donors. Because our organs, there's something about them. What is it? They have melanin. They have more melanin. A lot of us have that O type of blood, meaning we can be universal donors. Why? Because the human race came from Black people. The entire human race, right? All humans go back to two African Edenic, a man and a woman. And this is genetic. This is genetic, right? So really, we're all related. But that melanin is something special. So when I tell you, you are not starting 50 feet behind. You are starting 150 feet ahead. Wear your crown. Wear your crown. Put on your garments that God has given you in your own skin, in your own body. And wear it with pride and mostly with gratitude. Okay? When gratitude is your attitude, it changes your latitude. All right? I love y'all. Mom, let's get up out of here, baby.
All right. Let's see these comments. Auntie Richetta says, thank you, nephew. Miss Brenda says, thank you, God, for the feet and the shoes. I put out there a Gandhi quote, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And then Miss Brenda says, funny you said that, Tammy. Let me pull it back up. Instead of blowing the horn, I have actually went in the house and offered to take the person somewhere and they would go. Great analogy. So they would go. Okay. Take the people who will go. And that's it. We're all caught up.
Cool. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us on this lovely Wednesday. I hope you all have a great day. Use what we discussed today to empower you, to light the flame underneath you, and go out there and win the race of today. Let's not think about 5 years from now. Win that race today. Win the next minute. Win the next thought. Win the next hour. And keep it pushing, y'all. Lift your head up, pat yourself on the back, and let's run through this one more time. Today's title was Race Issues. Our quote from Wilma Rudolph, the Olympic champion, said that I'm in my prime. There's no goal too far, no mountain too high. And our affirmation for the day is when what's been done is done. Today, I will press on to my goal. Keep on pressing on. Love y'all. Y'all take care. Let's feed them ducks as we ride out. Hope you feel better, mama.
I will.
Get you some hot tea. Drink a lot of hot tea, hot water. Try to drink warm things today. Don't drink anything cold with ice today for me if you can help. Drink some regular temperature water. Keep your body warm today. Okay?
All right.
All right, y'all take care.